One of the big reasons people should know about this article is that it has close ties to a walkway here on the UI campus. This walkway was made in memory of one of the victims in this shooting. Her name was Cleary, and she was a faculty member at the time. During an interview I conducted, here's what a student at the University of Iowa had to say. All right, I'm here with Stephen School, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the Cleary walkway. First one is, why do you think it is important to have a walkway in memory of someone?
I think it is important to have a walkway in memory of someone, to honor them, and to keep their name alive. Also, it is a constant reminder of what Auntie Cleary brought to the university and who she was.
When he said it is important that people know of this walkway to both keep the name alive as well as honor Cleary, I would say this is true for the article as well. Because the article focuses on all of the victims of the shooting rather than just one, and it pays justice to the ones we lost that day, emphasizing how important it is that we never forget them. Another reason students should know about this article is because it is part of the campus's history and story, which leads me to my next interview question when I asked, do you think everyone that uses the walkway should know the story behind it, why or why not?
I would say yes. I think it's important to know the history of the University of Iowa. Also, would help to educate the students on who she actually was and what she brought.
Following this interview, we wanted to get responses from a larger crowd, so we conducted a campus-wide poll and asked a few questions. For this, we will send it over to Trista.
We predicted that a majority of students would not know why the walkway had a name. The answers were verified when we found out that only 7 out of 30 people said they knew why the walkway had its name. Out of the 24 people who answered how they found out about the name, not one person had found out by article. This data shows how such an important article, such as this one, is extremely underrated. We believe that this tragic subject should be brought to attention to you Iowa students, as this occurred on a walkway visited by hundreds of our students daily.
Another reason we chose this article is because it really illustrates the level of seriousness of this episode.
Just after reading the first paragraph, a stranger to the event is reeled in immediately and their emotions are tugged on. In this short paragraph, the audience is introduced to severe phrases such as shooting rampage, 2 buildings, killing 4 people, critically wounded 2, and shooting himself. We recognize these phrases to be very grave, and people should be informed about dismal occurrences as this one to be better knowledgeable about their campus's history.
Since the shooting, emergency alert systems have been put into place to better protect our campus, and for this, I will send it over to Ryder and Connor.
Since the shooting, 24 years of development and communication have passed. The Hawk Alert system has been put in place to warn students and faculty across campus of emergencies and dangerous situations. In present day, almost everybody carries a cell phone on them or has access to email at a moment's notice. These are the main ways the Hawk Alerts are distributed. Obviously, in 1991, our university didn't have this informative alert system. Email was in its early days, and cell phones were few and far between.
From the article, we learned that the shooter moved from Van Allen Hall to Jessup Hall. Today, the Hawk Alert system could potentially save the lives that were taken in Jessup Hall. This is why we believe that reading our article is essential, because it includes this small detail of the shooter moving between these buildings, providing us the insight as to why an alert system would save the lives today. While speaking of the alert systems, Connor conducted an interview with a professor here on campus that taught during the shooting and still teaches today. He had a few things to say about what precautions were taken directly after the shooting.
How did the tragic shootings, how did they affect the safety and precautions the university took after that? Was there any vast changes in that aspect?
I don't recall any vast changes. I'm sure there were some things done. Probably communication, as I remember the incident. The problem was is that the gentleman shot somebody over in a physics building, and then he came over to the administration building, and of course nobody communicated during that period of time that there was a man with a gun on the loose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all much better now. I don't know if that was directly on account of that, but of course that was a fairly early days of email and computers. I mean, we had them, but it wasn't like it is now. And so I think we've generally improved those situations nationally. It wouldn't surprise me if, in this case, it was due to that unfortunate event. But certainly things are better now.
During the interview, Professor Kutzko mentioned that this was a unique incident. To talk about this, we sent it to Connor.
Unfortunately, we live in a world where tragedies such as our school shooting occur. Unfortunately, we have to recognize that these events are quite real, although they may seem distant or unbelievable when in the news. For Iowa students, reading this New York Times article on the university shooting should bring into perspective how tangible this event was. One might argue that it was an isolated incident. It can never happen again, not here. But the sad reality of it is, it already happened once, and for a pretty pathetic reason. Does that event reflect upon the student body or the community as a whole? Absolutely not, but it only takes one person's deranged anger to end the lives of many. This isn't about dwelling on the past or bringing up forgotten woes. It's about preventing these tragedies from happening again and not letting history repeat itself. Life is precious, and innocent lives were unjustly taken because of the selfishness of one distraught student. Keeping this from happening again rests on our shoulders, as individuals and as a community. And when reading this article, students will see just how precious life is, and how unfair it is to take that away from someone else.